This guide has been inspected and improved by Luminous.
Hey guys, this is SunsFan and welcome to the official Dota Cinema Guide to Slardar. If you aren't familiar with this hero, you may want to watch the introduction we did for him at the corresponding link. Slardar is a strength initiation hero whose propensity to chase down fleeing heroes makes him very strong. Add the fact that he can turn the tankiest of heroes into a squishy mess and you have yourself a solid all-around hero. Skill build. Skilling Slardar is somewhat standard. Your first priority will be to max Slitherine Crush, as it provides you a very good 2.5 second disable, as well as 2 second slow. Second, you'll want to level Sprint. Now after saying this, some players decide to get one level of Bash at level 4, but doing this is just player preference. But back to Sprint real quick. The reason you want to skill it second is because it provides you great initiation and escape mechanism. And if you level it once, you might as well max it out because no matter what level, you'll still take the same amount of extra damage while it's activated. But as far as your ultimate amplified damage is concerned, level it at the usual 6, 11, and 16 since it's easily your most important skill. And as you can guess, level Bash last, since you can't really rely on it in the early stages since your attack speed leaves much to be desired. Item build. If you're confident in your last hitting skills, then start with a Stout Shield, regeneration items, and branches, which of course you'll turn into a wand eventually. You also have the option of switching out the Stout Shield for a Quelling Blade, although you'll still eventually get a Stout Shield anyway. The main boots of choice for Slardar are Treads. The stats it brings along with the attack speed make it the perfect set of boots for him. Some people get Phase because it allows you to unit walk, and although that can be very useful, the plus speed you gain from using it will be lost in many cases since level 4 Sprint will max your speed out anyway. But aside from Treads, the core items that Slardar players try to get just about every game are a Vanguard, BKB, and Blink Dagger. The order of purchase is really the tricky thing since it's dependent on the specific game that you're playing. But generally speaking, you want to get Blink after Vanguard since once you get Blink, you'll need to soak up some initiation damage. Now to take that even further, if the opposite team has plenty of stuns, meaning if you hypothetically blink in, stun, and then expect to be stunned right after, then you know BKB will be needed beforehand. For luxury items, an Assault Cuirass is amazing since it gives you a negative armor aura as well as a bunch of attack speed. A Heart could also be good in certain situations since you'll be taking the brunt of damage in many skirmishes, while a Satanic will give you a ridiculous amount of survivability in combination with your BKB. I also have to give special mention to the Armlet of Mordigian. This is never gotten on the professional scene, but on the pub scene can be quite fun since it'll give you a ton of health when activated, along with both damage and attack speed. Gameplay. In the laning stages, your crush can be relatively hard to pull off because of your lack of move speed and the small AoE that comes with it. This is why getting a reliable stun or slow will make all the difference. Imagine a stun or slow setting up your crush, which will of course stun and then slow. You know what that sounds like to me? An easy kill. Try to use Sprint sparingly in these situations since you'll take extra damage. In fact, only use Sprint if you're trying to flee or if you're chasing somebody down and it's a guaranteed kill. Also keep in mind that Slardar is relatively tanky in the early stages, so being very aggressive can really pay off. But amplified damage is where it's at, since its uses are endless. Obviously it'll give vision of enemies, which makes for a great way to counter invisible heroes, but it will also make them so much squishier. And the fact that it costs 25 mana to use, with a mere 10-second cooldown, means you can spam this away, which makes this one of the most effective ultimates in the game. It's also a great way to cancel the effects of a Lincoln Sphere. But for laning, you can play some serious mind games with your enemies. Just place this low mana ultimate on them and dare them to come last hit that creep. The moral of this story is that when players are affected by amplified damage, they typically play a little bit more passive. When a Blink Dagger is part of your arsenal, never use Sprint in team fights unless you're either winning handily or needing to chase a hero down. But remember, for the initiation, it's a simple blink and crush. Crush deals physical damage, which synergizes directly with your ultimate, but in most cases you won't be able to get the amplified damage off before that first crush. Don't let that bother you. A simple blink crush initiation will do just fine. But going back to amplified damage, just remember that it goes through BKB, so you can really choose your targets well. That's actually half the battle, choosing which heroes deserve to get their armor destroyed. Sometimes your choice will be a caster, who will go down in a couple of hits thanks to your amplify damage, but most times it'll be that all-important carry that needs some serious attention. And although we haven't touched on it much, Bash has an interesting mechanic that we should mention. The stun is physical, while the damage bonus from a proc is considered magical. This means the stun aspect will go through magic immunity as well, which of course gives you yet another reason to target those carries. Friends and foes. Friends of Slardar are plentiful. There are the early game supports that help you on your way, such as a Venomancer or Crystal Maiden. There are the heroes that can stack negative armor, such as Shadow Fiend, Vengeful Spirit, and Tidehunter. And then there's every right-clicking carry in the game that will just love you for your ultimate. Examples of this are Drow and Void. Heroes that Slardar should stay away from are quite simple. Before he can get a BKB, or after its effects have worn off, heroes that have good disables and slows just destroy his biggest strength, which of course is mobility. Heroes that successfully frustrate him are Bane and Shadow Shaman with their plethora of disables, and of course Lich and Viper with their endless slows. Thanks for watching, guys, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube. Also, a big thanks to Flawless and Luminous who helped create this guide. You can check them out at their YouTube channels, which are linked in the video description. Also, be sure to check out our website at dotacinema.com. My name is SunsFan, and we love you guys.